Good evening, everyone. You're watching Social Chatter, your weekly social media marketing talk show. Hey guys, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to just reintroduce myself. We're having a couple of technical difficulties with BeLive, not actually bringing up my camera and whatnot. But my name is Christian Karasevich, CEO and founder of SocialChefs.com. You're watching this week's episode of Social Chatter, your weekly social media marketing news talk show. This is episode 131. I'm really excited. We're going to have a really great guest on tonight. But first, I want to bring on our co-host for this week and next week. We've got Phil Gerbershak. Let's bring Phil up here. Hey there, Phil. How are you doing?
Hey, Christian, what's up, man? It's so good to be on the other side of the camera, if you will. Fun times, yes, brother.
Can you hear me okay?
I hear you fine. Do you hear me?
Fantastic. So I was telling everybody this week, we've got, we're bringing you on as co-host. We had you on as a guest a few weeks back. We got connected, thought, hey, let's bring Phil on as well. To fill in for Nick here for a couple of weeks. And, I'm happy to have you on the show this week. We've got a lot of great topics to talk about tonight, don't we?
Wow. Yeah. Some great stuff, man. A lot of changes that are going to affect people, affect your business, and hopefully rock your world. So I'm excited to talk about them, man.
So who do we have as our guest this week? We have, she's from Chipmunk Media, Lisa Monks.
Yeah.
Do you know Lisa prior to this, or is this your first time meeting her?
I don't, but I checked out her stuff. She seems super energetic, super smart, and super fun. So this should be awesome.
Definitely. And, the other thing is she's in Australia. So a lot of times she actually gets a lot of the features before we do. So it's really good to have, to have a different perspective of things, because she might have things that we've never even talked about yet. So Let's bring Lisa on. Let's get the show going, because we got a lot of good topics to talk about.
Let's do it.
Lisa, how are you?
Hello. How are you doing?
Doing fantastic. It's so great to have you on.
Oh, it's awesome to be back. I've been on your show. Was it last year that I was on? The last time I was on, or was it? Oh my goodness, was it the year before? Gosh, time is just flying.
Yes.
It's great to be back.
So tell us a little bit about yourself, actually. So for people that are watching that don't know you.
Okay, as you said, my business is called Chipmunk Media, and I'm based in Australia. Actually, I'm based up in a small town called Cairns, right up in the tropical northeast of Australia. And I assist small to medium-sized businesses, predominantly in my community, to help them understand the whole social media space with management and training and speaking. So, and then then very fortunately, I get the opportunity to travel to the States once a year to attend fabulous events like Social Media Marketing World, which I did just this past couple of weeks ago.
Very nice.
Very
nice.
Cool.
Yay.
So we've got a lot of really great people tuning in tonight. I want to just say hi to Danica and Fernando for tuning in. Let's see. We've also got Sarah Stahl. She was actually a former guest as well. And obviously Phil and a whole bunch more. So y'all ready to get started with this week's show? I mean, this is 131. We do this. We've done this for a few years now, and this is I love this show. I love doing it every week, and I love helping you as a business owner. How can we, what are all the updates, but how can you apply them to your business? I think that's key. It's not just about like, oh, hey, here's all this stuff that's happening. What can you take away from the show? So, by the way, Bernard, welcome as well. So Phil, let's kick things off. What topic do you want to start with this week?
Well, I think I'm a LinkedIn guy. So let's talk about the LinkedIn filters and how they're impacting LinkedIn video, because, LinkedIn video is not old to start with. And now they're already updating it. They're already enhancing it. They're already making it better. So I'm curious, Lisa, do you have this feature already?
I do have the feature, and I'm actually just looking at it now. I only saw it for the first time yesterday, to be quite frank, and so I tested it out, took it for a bit of a spin. It's relatively basic compared to obviously your Instagram filters and your Snapchat filters, and presently I only see 3 filters that you can add to your. Is that correct? There's only 3.
Yeah, that is correct right now. Yep. Yeah.
So, and that's like the on air, the side hustle, and work high five that you can add, pull that into your video at any time.
Oh, that's interesting. So you have different ones than I have.
Oh, okay. Which ones do you have?
I'm celebrating Women's Day still. Like it was like, a while ago. So what we celebrate every day, hopefully, right? A little bit of that.
Absolutely.
So that's interesting. So that's the big one that I have. And I got it in beta. And I have to tell you, I mean, it's very rudimentary, very basic, very fundamental. So I'm looking forward, to some geo filters that actually show off an event, especially as LinkedIn is a big recruiting platform. I think their big opportunity is to actually put where you are so that you can sponsor your video at each place that you are. What do you think, Lisa?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think obviously they're starting out with just their filters now, and the more advanced they get, definitely, putting the geo filters on there would be huge, would be a massive benefit, especially when you're attending the likes of any major conferences or any events that you're actually holding. That would be key. And as you said, it's very basic at the moment, but I guess you've got to start somewhere, and they're getting into the video field, jumping in on it, and they're actually not bad. They're not bad filters. They're just they're just rather basic compared to what you can do on the other platforms. But I'm sure there'll come a point where they will catch up.
Yeah, Christian, are you using them, buddy?
I haven't started using them yet, but I checked them out, and I have to say, I think these are going to be. I think they're actually very useful for LinkedIn. A lot of the ones are on Facebook, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat. I mean, they're all fun and games most of the time, but the ones for LinkedIn, there's only a few, but I think they're very powerful. I mean, for example, I like the one that's the on the air filter, as you can see here. But the reason I like this is because, LinkedIn is a place for people to go and, connect with other business owners or work colleagues. And I think that, by having, even though they're limited, I think that they have picked the right ones to get started with. And I think that's key, by the way, that you mentioned that getting started. LinkedIn has to get started with, filters and text styles, to get people, in the habit of using these on a more consistent basis versus, hey, here's, all these filters and you have to pick between 20 or 30 of them. So I like the fact that they've only added a few of them to start.
Yeah. Now, what I'm curious because as I said, I only tested it out yesterday. Is it only in portrait?
Are the filters in portrait, you mean?
No, the actual, when you're actually videoing, I only did it in portrait. I could only do it in portrait. But mind you, to be quite honest, I didn't try in horizontal. But it seems to me, when you've got it on your phone, the most logical way to do it is in portrait mode. But
yeah, you can go either way, but here's the thing.
Okay.
Yeah, I would actually tell you, though, do it in the portrait mode because you take up more of the feed.
Yeah.
So even because, again, most people, they're looking on their phone, right? And this is how you look. Most people don't turn it this way. I mean, sad to say, but especially if they're in the bathroom watching video, right? So I would say that's still super useful. And I would actually encourage people, do it in portrait. In fact, I really think we're going to see more and more apps are portrait first because frankly, unless you turn your head like a dog or you turn your phone, you're not really going to do that. I mean, live video even is not, I don't watch it on my TV. I've got a smart TV, big 50-incher, and I don't watch YouTube on TV. and I don't watch, live videos, any Facebook like this show, I wouldn't do that. So if it takes up more feed, that's kind of a strategic way to kind of squeeze your competition out.
True, very true. And I must say, I'm not into watching any any Facebook or anything on TV either. Everything's done with my mobile. But I must admit, when I'm on my desktop and when I'm on my laptop, I really love the portrait. Annoys me because you've got the obviously the little grayed out areas in the back. Hence the reason why where I always try wherever possible to, if I'm going to do portrait, to change that, download it and change it into square format to really fill that space up. Because as you said, the more real estate you take, the more of a standout it is in the newsfeed.
Yeah. I think the on-air one that you mentioned is in preparation for LinkedIn to release live video.
I think so too. It's not very far away. Yeah, I don't think it's going to be very far away either. And every platform's got it now. I saw for the first time now, I'm sure everyone's had it a lot longer than I have, but for the first time the other day I saw that I could go live on my desktop on YouTube. Now, I'm sure, as I said, people have probably had that for a while, but not on desktop.
That just came out. Yeah, that's new. Yep, that's a new feature too. So, yeah, that's pretty cool. Christian, are you using any YouTube Live? I know that's a little off topic here, but are you doing any of that?
I haven't tapped into the YouTube Live side. I've kind of been waiting for them to get things, kind of settled a little bit. One change they actually did make to YouTube recently is, and this is part of the reason why I've been holding off, is because previously you had to use an encoder and all sorts of other things to really, have a good YouTube Live experience. The encoders I've used, they didn't really work very well. Not to name any of the software, but didn't really work very well. And I don't want to name it because I don't want to just be negative about the company, but didn't work well. So as a result, I held off on that. But YouTube actually is putting in place a feature now where you do it through the browser and you don't have to actually have the encoder. So that way they're doing kind of what Be Live is doing here in this case. So I will actually look into moving into that or to simulcast and whatnot. So, but I have to say, I like your tip about how if I'm a business, I should use the portrait mode because I take up a little bit more room in the newsfeed. It's not a lot, but it's enough to push out your competition or, and it's a smart way. It's a smart tactic as a marketer, or a business owner. Instead of, being posting too many updates, post the thing in portrait mode and take up a little bit of space. Simple little trick. So fantastic idea.
Yeah, a little snipe in there. You can do it.
So do we want to move on to the next topic? What do you think?
Yeah, I think so. Lisa, you ready for the next topic?
Yep, bring it on.
So what's next, Phil?
Oh, the next is Instagram, right? We got a couple on Instagram that we want to talk about tonight. So, Christian, which one do we want to talk about first, buddy? You're kind of typing it up here, so I'm going to let you actually pull the trigger for us.
Let's do the let's see. So let's do the part about the quote tweet style feed post resharing. That's a big mouthful here, but basically what it is Instagram is rolling out the ability to basically regram or share an Instagram post in your Instagram stories. So that's pretty much the update there. What does everybody think about? Have you checked this one out, Phil?
So yeah, I checked. I don't have it yet, but I think it's great. First of all, the ability to regram should have always been there. I can't believe they're just now coming out with it. I mean, this is ridiculous. There's 20 apps that do this. So that's the first thing that I think. And the second thing that I think that's really interesting about Instagram is that it isn't on a per post basis that you're public or private. It's either your account is public or your account is private. So that is very, very interesting to me, because that means that for, user generated content, if I'm a business and I want to, say thanks to the people that have already done this, no longer do I have to take a screenshot or use some crappy third party that doesn't work all that well, right? Or I have to put their logo on it. Instead, I can just regram and really generate some real content thanks for that. And I think that's great. And then putting that in a story really could drive engagement, especially if you're a smart brand that lets people talk back to you. Oh my gosh, right? If I post a picture of you, Christian, you're probably going to say, oh, dude, thanks a lot, right? And now we can have a conversation. And I think that's a big, big deal. And I like what Storm says. Yeah, yes!
Yay, Storm. Storm's cool. Storm actually lives here in Cairns, where I live. So
Nice.
Go Storm.
Awesome.
Well, go over, quick, run over to Lisa's house. You can get on camera too. So, Lisa, what about you? Do you have this already?
No, I do not. No, I was actually asking in another group earlier today if anybody had it, and no, I don't have it. But I'm with you, Phil, in the sense that I'm surprised it's taken them this long to be able to bring this feature into place when it's just key. I mean, everybody's been doing it since Instagram started, and I use repost myself if I want to reshare something. So I'm surprised it's taken them this long. Now, with their resharing, is it just into stories, or is it a repost into your? I think I read somewhere that it's just one image.
Yep, it's just one image to the story.
Yeah, and are you able to actually reshare that into your regular page, or is it just into stories?
Right now it says quote storying. Yeah. Right now is what it says, but we're gonna see. You know, I would guess eventually that'll have to be with other stuff. I mean, that just makes sense. But although I will say I don't look at my regular feed as much as I do the stories. So
well, this is true. Yeah.
So
I mean, I actually think it's going to be a really cool tool. Once again, I don't have a chat, so I've been kind of refreshing, checking my Instagram updates, and it's still not there. So, you know, this is one of those instances, Chris, that we haven't got it the first time.
Christian, do you have it? Are you magical like that?
I don't have it, unfortunately, but I will say the way that it works right now is you can only share it to Instagram stories. What's going to happen is somebody, you know, it's actually really interesting. So what will happen is you can share it into Instagram stories. It will give you the ability to have the user tagged, which I think is a brilliant idea, Phil, as you mentioned, about being able to build relationships with people, you know, without having to go in there and say, well, you know, who's talking about my brand? I don't have to go use, I still should use a tool to monitor who's talking about my brand, but I can at least see who is actually mentioning me and whatnot, because it will be tagged on there. Somebody taps on it, they'll be able to go see the original post. They'll also be able to see who the original publisher is, which I think is, you know, again, it's keeping the publisher in front versus, you know, like people taking screenshots, cutting all that stuff out. So it's giving the publisher their, you know, their just dues basically here.
Yeah. No, well, I agree. I think it's going to be wonderful for building relationships. But I mean, you've always been able to, in a sense, to do that by, you know, as you say, taking screenshots, uploading it, and then you can still tag people in it now. But this is just going to make it such a seamless, effortless way to do it, which will, I think, encourage more people to do it.
Absolutely. Yeah. And by the way, you know, the other part you all mentioned about, you know, the part about being able to, you know, regram on Instagram, like, you know, there are third-party tools that have been doing this. I've always wondered, you know, was this kind of Facebook running, you know, doing A/B testing between Facebook and Instagram, and maybe saying, well, hey, let's do everything on Facebook, and then on Instagram, let's be very cautious with how we roll things out, because, you know, maybe they're learning from some of the mistakes on Facebook. Not really sure. But
I wonder if they're curious. I really wonder if they're concerned about the copyright potential here. Because we see a lot of people, you know, rip off other people. And now perhaps they finally have some copy protection that's going to prevent us from the screenshot and then re-upload other people's pictures. I don't know, right? I'm just guessing here, but that's one thing I can tell you. The freebooting of videos and the stealing of people's images is big money. And that's big advertising dollars that Facebook gets because people are thieves. I'm wondering if, you know, how this is going to work on Instagram, because I can tell you, you know, one of the most ripped off accounts is anybody who does a lot of video. I see their videos on like 20 different Instagram accounts, right? Or I see them in the trending, and they're all the same. It's like, I wonder how that's going to play out, especially as, you know, if Instagram becomes like a source for original content, which right now it's too short to really do, but I wonder how that's going to play out.
Yeah.
They do have the feature now also over the last couple of weeks where you'll be able to see when somebody records basically takes a screenshot. So, so they are adding that as well. So they're putting those stop gaps in place, I think.
Of your stories though, but not of your feed.
Yeah.
And and of course somebody else is going to create an app that does it without that, right? Let's just be honest. That's coming close.
But they're getting strict. They're going to start locking down on everything. You know, which I think is a good thing. You know, people really take advantage and ruin it. The marketers ruin it for everyone.
Marketers and politicians ruin everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
Later, Lisa.
Right.
Yep, that's funny. That is funny.
Sticking with Instagram here. So Instagram has, this whole quote tweet style thing. This is, again, something that's being tested, but they also have another feature they released. And this is actually from the Instagram business blog. It's Instagram hashtag and profile links to bios. Has anybody had a chance to check this one out yet, by the way?
Well, I haven't played with it, but I certainly read the write-up on it. And I think the most interesting thing to me, not just a link like Twitter does back to the feed of all the topics, but I really think if I mention that, that Lisa and I are in a relationship, she can untag herself. Which is great, right? Because my girlfriend would really like for me not to mention any other girl, but not even her, right? So, so I think that's good, right? Or if we say we're business partners or whatever that is. So I think that's an interesting feature. And I wonder how much that'll get abused, though, by people that, want to just hobnob with others. I don't know. What do you think, Lisa?
Well, yeah. I mean, I saw that, and I'm trying to see how. I mean, I get it if you have a personal profile and you want to link your own business account. That makes absolute sense to me. It gives a new viewage to your business account. I also get it if you're collabing with another Instagram account. It's great for both of you to respectively put your links through. But just putting somebody's link in. I'm not too sure. I'm sure there will be people that will abuse it. Now, I saw Gary Vee's doing it. He's getting people to put his link in their bio, and I saw a page that put his link in their bio today. And I'm trying to work out what benefit is that to obviously the Instagram page. Why would they be obviously, I don't know the actual details behind it. It might be a competition. I don't know. Gary's always giving away stuff. So it very well could be, we'll select somebody who's put my bio in their bio and will win, his latest book or something. So perhaps that's what they've done. But do people really pay a lot of attention when they go onto an Instagram account and really look into their bios is something that I'd be interested to know. Because when I look at an Instagram account, I'm looking more so at the content, really looking carefully at the content. And I might glance at the bio if it's a nice, clean bio that clearly states what that Instagram account is about. But if it's full of a whole lot of hashtags and whatever, I kind of just, I don't even pay much attention. So I'd be interested to see how this actually works. Obviously you can be strategic for your business personally, but bringing other people's bios into it, I'm not entirely sure how that will work.
So I have a hunch on this. Okay, so I think let's just talk about like the two pieces to this. So for example, I can go in and I can go into the Instagram bio, I can type the # and it will bring up hashtags. And it will allow me to link to a hashtag. Now, for example, I think that's a brilliant thing because it will help me, one, put that in my bio. So if I have people that are, if I do a broad category match and I have a specific one, for example, for the show, we do #SocialChatter. I can at least go in and see who is there using my hashtag, for example. I can find some accounts to follow. I can also use the broad matching piece to then hopefully get my, my account maybe, or my content into, the broader Instagram community to basically build my audience. That's the other part to that. Now the flip side, you mentioned businesses, if I'm, for instance, on my personal Instagram account, I might use, I might tag my business Instagram account, by doing @ in the bio, and then it'll actually hyperlink to the account. Now let's talk about, the example you gave a minute ago, Lisa. I have a feeling that, maybe that the reason somebody would have somebody else put a link to their account in their Instagram bio is to possibly, help them identify who are some of my audience members, my top fans, possibly, or maybe they go in there because they also want that added exposure because they want to stay top of mind. That could also be the other thing.
Could also be SEO. Right. On the link, it could be SEO because now, you can go to Instagram bios on your desktop, which you couldn't do for a long time, and load that up and actually do a bit of searching on Instagram that way. So that might be another thing that Gary's trying to do, or it might, might be a way to, kind of outgame Google. So we'll see if eventually they add a no follow link to that.
Yeah, I mean, it would be also interesting, I guess, if for advertising, if you have like an influencer saying, "Look, I'll put your bio into my as a shout out to you," and there, there's that avenue that people could actually take, I guess, into the future. And for example, if Gary V put my Instagram mention in his bio, man, woohoo, wouldn't that be cool?
He could also maybe be using it as like a giveaway opportunity, or to say, because I think maybe it's like, oh, hey, the people that are the most active, for instance, like I'll put remember how people used to do this? They kind of used to swap, follow me, I'll follow you back, that type of thing. Maybe he does it for something like that as well. That way, it's a contest or something like, hey, I'll, mention you on my, Instagram account, for instance, if you're one of the people that actually mentioned me on yours.
Yeah, and I think it's probably something like that. I only saw it in one of the accounts that I follow, and I didn't delve into it to find out how it got there, what was the story behind it. But it's probably something like, I mean, he does his what is it, 1 minute or 2 minute, where if you respond in a certain amount of time, you go, you're in the chance to win something, whether it's a minute or with him or a book or something like that. So I'm sure it's something very similar. So I guess in that instance, it's a...
Yeah. But I mean, again, go ahead, Lisa, go ahead.
I was just going to say, but I mean, that's with the app mentions, but going back to when you mentioned hashtags, I can definitely see the benefit there, but I think people need to be really strategic about it. How they do that, because I don't know about you or anybody else out there, but if I see whether it's on Instagram itself, like on a post, is different, but in a bio, when everyone fills their bios with hashtags, well, before it didn't make sense because they weren't clickable. Now they are. So that makes it a little bit more relevant, but still those hashtags have to be relevant to the brand. And if people just go throwing, the most popular hashtag in there, they're not going to get found because it's ridiculous. So people really need to kind of be very strategic with the hashtags that they use to ensure that people can actually find them.
Well, let's not put too much credence in this, though, because frankly, if you talk to 10 people on the street, they don't even know what a hashtag is. Right? I mean, really. So the key to this, the whole thing is education, right? If we're, and this is where LinkedIn has hashtags too. So one of my favorite uses for hashtags on LinkedIn is for your own branded hashtag. So my buddy Keenan's got hashtag Keenan Vids. It's just all the Keenan videos that he's put together. And so far, I haven't seen people hashtag Jack and try to put their own videos in there or anything. So it's all Keenan videos. But I can tell you, again, I think as they gain popularity, you're going to see people hashtag Jack their personal ones, just like they did on Twitter. And people are going to get upset. I own that hashtag. No, you don't. Shut up. It's just a hashtag.
So have you seen any cases of people actually, trademarking hashtags?
They tried. I mean,
I think there was something
Ted Rubin.
Year, someone.
Yeah, Ted Rubin's got his hashtag capital R on our return on relationship. And, Brian Kramer's tried with his human to human stuff. But I tell you, a hashtag, trademarking a hashtag is, come on. Really? You're going to trademark a hashtag? I don't think so, right? Unless you get a tattoo across your forehead, that's not a trademark for me. I don't know. What do you think?
I agree. No, I agree. I just think it's silly for anyone to kind of go down that route or think that they can go down that route. But, you know, once again, marketers, they'll try anything.
Yeah, or at least say that they've trademarked it, so nobody else wants to use it. So yeah, but watch those porn bots; they're going to jump in. We'll see them soon.
Oh, God,
right? I mean, that's always what happens.
But you know, going back to your point, you know, it's all about education, because even though hashtags have been around forever, really, since obviously they started in the Twitter days, then Instagram took off, and they're more relevant to that space now. And then people completely do not understand how they're used on Facebook. It's just a total education process. And so anyone who's watching, if you've got hashtags in your Instagram account, please don't share them across to Facebook. Yeah. There's nothing worse. I don't know if anyone else finds that the most irritating, but it's you know, take the time. Your business accounts are important. Take the time to create the right message for the right platform.
Yeah, that's you know, we could talk about that for weeks, though, Lisa.
Yeah, oh my God,
don't do that. They just check the box. Oops, I posted to Facebook 3 times today. Aren't I doing the right thing? No, that's
it's so easy to do. When you press that share button, you just remove the hashtags. If you want to, you know, share the same content, you can still do that. You just press share, remove the hashtags, and away you go. It's just an extra 5 seconds. I don't know. That's a long time.
Come on, I don't have time, Lisa. It's so hard.
I know.
And I just want to tell you, hashtags predate Twitter. Hashtags go all the way back to IRC and ICQ with their rooms and categories, right? So if we think of a hashtag as a category of a conversation, as a place to go and talk about that, really Reddit is built on that, Twitter is built on that, you know, any of these. So if we call them hashtags for whatever reason, but it's not like #hashtag. It's like it's a hashtag because it's a hash, right? Because of the British phones, you knuckleheads, right? That's what it is.
I mean, I always try and explain it as a filing cabinet to people who just don't get it. I just say, look at it as a filing cabinet that's got a name to it. And whenever you open that filing cabinet, all the same relevant content is in that filing cabinet. Click on another one, it's another subject. So, and then people go, okay, I get it now. So,
and then really mess with them and tell them that it's an octothorpe and see what they do. Hashtag octothorpe. Just saying.
Saying. Awesome. So, I think overall, you know, I think that the hashtag and the profile links, I think these are good. You know, I think there's going to be more opportunities for you as a business to be able to grow your channel, provided you pick the right ones. You know, as Lisa mentioned, a lot of tools they make it too easy to be able to automate things. You know, and just posting to one channel and having the same message go across the other ones. You know, that's not social media. Like that's
spam.
That's not like
spam.
It's just, hey, like as Phil mentioned, I checked the box. So I'm glad to see also, by the way, that go ahead, Lisa.
No, I was just going to say, and, you know, just automating like that, going to that whole automation process, you know, one thing that was so clear that came out loud and clear when I was in the States for social media marketing world and for traffic and conversion, it's all about the relationships. And if you automate everything and push everything out, the same cookie cutter message across all platforms, you lose that ability to really connect and communicate with your audience.
Definitely, absolutely. I mean, and here's the thing: people they go on to their you don't have to, for example, use broad category matches in your hashtag, in your Instagram bio, for instance. Like, you don't need to just put a whole bunch in there just because you're like, hey, me too, I want to get seen. If you do things right, you build those relationships. If you're active on your channels, if your channels are exciting for people to watch, people go there. They're going to find it. So it's going to actually help you versus, let me try these other tactics that, they seem like they're going to make things better, but they really aren't. They're just going to make things worse for you. You're going to just tread water.
Yeah, I totally agree. People need to respect the individual platforms for what they are and what they can offer and learn how to use them correctly and learn how to talk with their audience. And these little things like the hashtags in your bio and the app mentions in your bio are great, but they are not going to bring ultimately people to your account and stay on your account. It's just a little, gimmick, really, in my view. What I would actually personally like to see them do is make it available, make the whole, when you do the swipe up in stories, that's only available to people with 10,000 followers. The average small business will take probably a lifetime to get that. What that does is, I believe, encourages people to use bots, buy likes, or buy followers, use all these tactics that totally screw up the platform to get to a point so they can, start using these tools, because that's a valuable tool that businesses can use. But to get there, you've either got to scam the system to get there quickly, or it takes you forever to do it. Now, so a tool like that, to me, would be much more valuable than a hashtag in a bio. Or a mention in a bio. You put something that businesses can actually use effectively to help them build their business. Because I don't have a big Instagram account. I've got about, I want to say nearly 1,500. So it's not huge by any means. And I would love that swipe up feature. I think that would be fantastic. And I know that there's a lot of small businesses out there that would really, really benefit from a feature like that. And I think a lot of those platforms that do have it, a lot of Insta accounts that do have it, I'll guarantee you a lot of them got there by not growing their audience organically.
Absolutely.
Sell that as a feature. Sell that as a feature, Instagram, right? That's the thing. I'd much rather I'd pay $50 a month to be able to do that instead of $50 a month to buy 10,000 followers. Right?
Absolutely.
That's the thing.
Without a doubt. Make it a nice, clean platform. Put everybody on the same playing field. Don't elevate somebody up here, because people will always try and break the rules to get there. And that's exactly what's happening. And that's why you see the proliferation of bots and this whole follow me, follow you, whatever, all those stuff, because people want to get, it's that whole, silver object. Oh, I want it, and I can't have it. So by God, I'm going to do whatever I can to get there. And, so I think that would be much more beneficial.
I agree that's beneficial. I don't know, though, that's why people use bots, right? I really think the reason, so one, remember that bots drive users and users drive valuation in these companies, right? So how many users do you have on the platform? That's why they haven't weeded them out yet, because the real number of people, right? Like now Twitter's at the point where they realize that their user base is not as active as it could be because of, because they haven't integrated the API. So I really think that's the first thing. The second thing that we need to remember about bots is, some people do it to get another feature, but a lot of people do it just because they want to puff their chest out and say, hey, I've got 11,000 followers, and that's the worst.
I mean, without a doubt, the whole vanity metrics has just gone crazy. But because that feature wasn't always available. It was it actually was only last year that everybody got that, even, and bots have been in the system way, way before that. And everybody, it's that whole vanity metrics of, trying to get as many followers as you possibly can. And I may have a small account, I may have small numbers, but I would much prefer that than have 10,000 where nobody, that they're not relevant, they're not real, or there's just no engagement whatsoever. And I guess a lot of people can't see past that. They just want to get those numbers because, of course, then they can reach out to sponsors and say, listen, I'm I can, it drives me insane. And so many people get ripped off, and people, I just wish people would see through the vanity metrics. And they don't want to see through, Lisa. Let's just be honest. I know. They want to feel good about the fact that they just paid $8 to somebody who doesn't give a crap about them to advertise their chunky product. Let's just be honest. That's what the real answer is. So, but it sucks. I mean, really, it totally stinks. But oh well. Because Instagram went from such a wonderful platform, and now it's going. I'm not entirely sure I like the way it's going. of course, a lot of people are seeing a lot of business being transacted on Instagram. Some are saying more so than Facebook if they're not using the Facebook advertising platform. But it's just turning into a whole, marketers, platform that, I've got this many likes, I can sell this product, and it's all about the bottom dollar, not so much about the relationship. That's the way that I'm
It's not about the customer at all in most cases.
No, it's not, and which is a shame because I think it's actually a really lovely platform, and I hope as Facebook make changes to the Instagram platform that they start pulling back on. They already started with their with their bots last year. They cracked down on bots and shutting down accounts, etc., and third-party apps. And I think we'll see more of that. Definitely, we'll be seeing more of that going forward.
And I actually, by the way, just a quick thought here, and then we're going to move on to the next topic. But I think that a lot of the platforms, at least Twitter, for instance, is also doing this. They're recognizing, what. Like as Philip just mentioned, they don't have a very active user base, but they're also realizing, there's also a lot of junk and a lot of spam out there. They're shutting down a lot of accounts that are, automated accounts. I'm seeing a lot of like big publications that are out there that supposedly have, thousands of shares on a blog post. You look at their numbers, like they're going from, 5,000 to 8,000 shares down to like barely 1,000 because all of those accounts are getting shut down. And I'm glad to see that happening. I almost sort of feel like it's a transition thing, to where they're realizing, okay, great. It's oversaturation on the market for the wrong reasons. Now we need to take the time to clean up the platform and put things in place that are going to keep it, a place for people to be able to go to feel like they're actually going to get some value out of it. So.
Absolutely. And I think that's good. Now, there's going to be a lot of hurting marketers and businesses out there. But really, if they step up to the platform and start providing value, start providing good content, knowing what their audience is actually looking for and engaging and communicating with their audience, I don't think there's going to be a lot of pain involved. It's those that just push out, push. It's all about the sale that are gonna really hurt. And I think it's to me, and I wrote about this when, Facebook changed the whole algorithm in January. It's, I actually think it's a good thing. And I welcome it because it's cleaning up that whole space. And we're going to be seeing it across all platforms, not only Facebook, as you said, Twitter as well.
Cool. Hey, Christian, do you want us to answer that question real quick for Bernard about why hashtags we think are a no-no on Facebook?
Yeah, sure. Here, let's bring up Bernard's question. So Bernard asked elementary question. I realize, but really, no in Facebook. Not going to yell at you. Here's the thing: no silly questions here. It's all about helping you as a business owner. So, Lisa, do you want to take this one?
Well, first of all, they have a very different usage on Facebook. Like, I think a lot of people think that as a search mechanism, you can use it as a search mechanism, but you don't need to have that on Facebook because everything is searchable on Facebook. You don't need to have a hashtag to be able to do it. And I personally think it really messes things up because they're not relevant. A lot of the times they're not relevant to your business. Now, I'm coming from more of a visual point of view as well. It kind of gets my goat where I go onto a page that I generally might be interested in the content they're sharing, and they've interspersed all their hashtags with their message. And it's just a message, and then it's all these hashtags that really just do not make any sense. Because if you're using it as a search mechanism, you can just go into the search bar in Facebook and type in what you're looking for, and you will get the same result as if you are, putting a hashtag in there. Whereas on Instagram, they have a value, they have a reason. Like I said, using the analogy of a filing cabinet, you click a hashtag and it will take you to all that content relating to that particular subject. You can't search on Instagram doing just a word without your hashtag. So, that's my take on it. I've actually heard people who say that they like Facebook, hashtags on Facebook. Now, there was a survey done, and I can't remember who it was that did it, and it's some time ago now. I want to say it's nearly 2 years ago now, that it was shown that more than 2 hashtags in a Facebook page actually decreased your reach in Facebook. Now, I don't know if that's still the case, but I'd be interested to know if anyone else's, what everyone else's thoughts are on the hashtags. I might use one or two if it's very relevant and brand specific, but I just wouldn't go crazy with them. And I certainly would definitely, have your message for, if you're sharing from Instagram to Facebook, I definitely create a secondary post, i.e. you share it from Instagram, and then you might want to change a few words. Like, for example, in your Instagram post where you've got all your hashtags, you might always say, click in the bio above to see my latest blog. Well, that's not necessary on Facebook because, so you really have to script your message for each platform and respect each platform. And for me personally, I don't think Facebook is a platform for a lot of hashtags. I'd welcome you guys' thoughts.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you, Lisa. I'm going to say people on Facebook don't talk in hashtags. No. That's why they're not, it's not that they're bad. It's just that they're not useful. They're not relevant, right? And if you add a whole ton of them, it's clear you just cross-posted from Instagram. That's why, right? So if you're, if you don't want to be seen as lazy, if you don't want to be seen as irrelevant, and if you don't want to be seen like you don't have really unique content, so you just spam the same crap on every platform, then don't use a ton of hashtags. But one or two, no big deal. I haven't seen any recent studies that say that it decreases. In fact, I would say, the reason that it did is because probably people like us, because I would say marketers drive a ton of views. Right. Remember that, because we're clicking those hashtags, not regular people. Although I will say it's interesting on Facebook, those silly words that light up, that do different things, people are clicking those. So I wonder if maybe hashtags eventually will get that way and offer some interaction that, beyond just searching on a post. Because, if you say, for instance, if you say love on Facebook,
you get
regardless of the language, you get little hearts, right? A little heart explosion, which is really interesting. Or I got your back. Yeah, you've got this. Yeah, there you go. There's another one. So it's interesting. I wonder if at some point hashtags do a similar thing for that. In addition to then taking you, almost being like an advertisement. Stop. Hey, you clicked on love, therefore you're looking for love. Here's a Match.com ad, right? So I don't know. I could see it happening.
I mean, it's so obvious when you see pages that are full of hashtag, or like on Facebook, it's just a complete share straight across. And I'm all for sharing content from Instagram occasionally across to Facebook, but you don't want to replicate the exact same content for a start on an ongoing basis. It's okay to do it every now and then, but on an ongoing basis, why replicating the exact same content? But there is, interestingly enough, also there, and I don't have who it was that put it out there, but have you guys heard that sometimes when you share from Instagram through to Facebook, you can actually get greater reach? Who was it that there was actually?
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that at some point too. But again, I'll say if you sponsor the content, that's probably true, but not anymore. I mean, but again, if it's a really good Instagram post, it might play really well on Facebook, in which case that's why you get more reach, not because you natively shared it. But again, boosting the post on one platform and the other, Facebook is purposely going to give you more reach, so you spend more money.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So I don't know.
So you want to move on to the next topic?
Yeah, let's move on to the next topic.
So which one do you want to? Which one did you want to cover?
Well, we should. That's our three. We should probably jump to the app so we can bring Mike on.
Okay. So, or actually, how about this? We'll bring Mike on and then we'll do the two tools. Does that work? Okay.
Yeah, that's great.
Just a quick heads up: we've got other topics we didn't cover this week. We've got Facebook's got some new creator tools that they're actually going to be working with. These are ones to help you build your following, monetize the content you're creating. So we're going to talk. That'll actually be in the blog post recap that will go out tomorrow. But I want to move into this last one, which is Facebook privacy and also this whole thing with Cambridge Analytica. Phil, do you want to kind of introduce this one? How do you want to do this?
Sure. Yeah. So the kind of old news here, but not really, right? Because it just exploded. About 3 years ago, Facebook, let's say, leaked data. I don't want to say that they sold it because that's still up for debate, right? But some data got to people that were pretty nefarious and did some bad stuff with it. And technically, theoretically, possibly, definitely influenced our election right here in the United States because they changed behavior and they grabbed data that, that might not have been there before or somebody else's data, right? Friends of friends. Facebook says, if you read Mark Zuckerberg's post today, he posted on, his own wall, because of course he announces news like his profile is like a press release place that, oh boy, we didn't know, we didn't discover this. We spanked their fingers and we said they couldn't do this anymore. And then they gave us a certification that says they did, but then it didn't really happen. So therefore Trump got elected. Right. So let's just be honest. That's really what happened. And Mike did a nice job. Mike Allton did a great job of breaking this down. So we're actually sharing his post here instead of the Guardian or the multitude of posts, because Mike's post, A, does a great job of breaking this down for marketers, and B, does a great job of linking out to the other sources in a relatively non-political way, which is the challenge here. And we're not going to talk today. Oh, boy. And Christian left us here. So maybe we're still on. I don't know. But Lisa, so if we are, that's cool. If not, that's cool too. So I'll just keep talking here. But yeah, if we did, what we want to talk about is how this impacts your business. So Lisa, how do you think this crazy stuff impacted business? And there's Christian.
Oh gosh. I just I can't really comment on obviously what happened in the States with all this with the elections. I mean, it's obviously a global subject because Facebook is a global platform and it affects, everything and the privacy, etc. I kind of would be a little bit, would this have really blown up if, nobody had known about it? Like, would Facebook have stepped up to the plate and started, really talking about it if all of this hadn't blown up in the first place? They got caught out now, and so they have to address that issue. It's a really, obviously people's individual privacy is very, very touchy, and I mean, and forever, for very good reasons, but what I want to say to this point, not going into your elections or anything like that, is, people need to be accountable for what they do on a platform. Facebook provides a platform. People need to start being accountable for what they do and understanding the actions of what they do on a platform. For example, all these Facebook quizzes, it's a classic example. They're all apps. Everybody loves to do them. What they're going to look like in 60 years' time, or what movie star they look like, or whatever it is. Everybody does them. They're viral. People love doing them. But do they realize the information that they're actually giving out, not only of themselves, but of their friends and their network as well? So, and people just like, oh, nah, it's okay. I just want to do it. It's fun. So that's just an example of, people are very quick to jump in and diss Facebook or really come down hard on them. And yeah, they've got a lot of work to do. There's absolutely no doubt about that. But I think as an individual, as a user on a platform, you need to be responsible and understand the ramifications of what you do on a platform, and know that if you're going to, actually download an app or join into one of those apps, then you need to realize the sort of information you're giving away and how it can potentially be misused.
So do you think, though, Lisa, do you think that people really will? Do you think this is going to have any impact at all? Because, I really think for me, and then I'd love to hear your thoughts. I think about my mom. I love my mom. I know that she could give a crap less about the terms of service, right? I mean, really, my mom just wants to play the game that she wants to play. She likes those quizzes, right? So I think that marketers are going to blow this out of proportion like they're already doing. And I think my mom and the people like my mom are not going to give a crap about this in another 30 days. And to Fiona's point here, ethical responsibility, they do. They say that. Nobody reads the terms of service.
Yeah.
Nobody cares, right? That's the real problem. So if we think about that, right, if we know, because you can go download all your data today, right? Yeah, Fiona,
yeah.
The average Joe won't give a crap. Absolutely agree.
Absolutely.
Right? So that's the point.
Go Fiona.
So right? Go Fiona. Yeah. So maybe you can run to Lisa's too. I don't know where you are, but come by me in Tampa.
She's in Melbourne. That's another cool Aussie.
All right. So, but most apps should show, right? I mean, and Facebook is saying that they're going to eliminate after, if you haven't used an app in 30 days, it's going to deactivate, which is really smart, right? So that it can only collect data for 30 days. But I don't know, much ado about nothing, a bunch of marketers whining to try to make the news. What do you think?
Yeah, I think there's a much bigger, like with us using our individual apps and stuff like that's one issue. I think you guys are more on point to be able to talk about the bigger picture of how it actually influenced something that was very global, i.e. the elections that, and that will happen everywhere. And obviously will probably not anymore, given what's happened. But that's, I think, the bigger problem, because individually we can be held responsible for what we do and where our data goes. But when a major organization uses it to influence a global outcome of something, that's where there's a major problem, I believe.
Sure, but here's the thing, though. Let's think about the business owners, though, that we're talking about here, right? Do you think this will influence them to not do quizzes or to not collect data, therefore putting all this data in the hands of these big companies? Or do you think they're going to be, just like I said, I mean, who gives a crap, right? Just keep going.
No, yeah, they probably, unfortunately, they probably won't. But it really is an education issue, I think. And I think, Dennis, you actually did a good post earlier today. Well, I saw it earlier today. And he says this is an education problem disguised as a privacy issue. And I actually think that that's exactly what it is. If people have an understanding of what they're doing, then, then they're more mindful of how their data can possibly be used. But if they want to stick their head in the sand and just continue on their merry way, then I just think that people can't shout too loud. I really don't. You need to, and everyone who's watching that, you do know that you just need to go into your settings and you can actually have a look at every single app that you've ever downloaded. Mm-hmm. If you've never gone into there, you will be surprised. There's probably hundreds of them. And if you click on those apps, you can see exactly what data you are giving away. And I'll guarantee you'll have a really good clean out when you see that.
Take personal responsibility.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
That's the big answer. So,
and I have to say,
Christian, you got Mike with us.
100% agree with you, by the way. And then we're going to bring Mike in. Like, it's all about the person taking responsibility for their own accounts. It's not just in this case, we're talking about Facebook, but it's Facebook, it's Twitter, it's Instagram, it's any third party tool that you've ever connected to your account. Anybody ever used, a Facebook sign on, like you've given a company access to, to be able to use your Facebook data or your Twitter data or whatever. Like, I want to say it's almost like spring cleaning. You need to do it on a regular basis. Nobody likes to clean, but you need to do it on a regular basis. You can't rely on Facebook or Twitter or any of these other networks. You can't rely on them to do the turning off of all of this stuff. You added it. Take the responsibility. Go look at your account. Like, I will personally say, like, I had an issue with Twitter. Twitter shut down one of my accounts. It said, or it popped up a message that my account was like, was potentially harmful or something like that. And I found out that, hey, it was a plugin I had installed on WordPress that it was connected to Twitter. I had to go and remove it, and it put the account back. But again, like, you can't just it's not a set it and forget it thing. You have to regularly maintain your accounts.
And I think that people will be, as I said, if they do the exercise and go into their settings and have a look at the apps, you'll be really surprised, not only the personal data that you can give away, but how much access you are giving to your actual business accounts. Some of these apps that are on your accounts can actually post on your behalf, manage on your behalf. And I actually went in last night to have a look. I was like, oh goodness, I've got to shut that one off, because I literally have everything. They have access to everything. Should they decide to abuse it, they have access to all your business accounts, certain apps, depending on what it is. Like I'm talking more about apps that are using to scheduling tools or, assisting with your business pages, for example. They're the ones that I'm talking about, not so much the quizzes, etc. They're the ones that you link to your business page to be able to share content to other platforms or pull information from other platforms.
So we have a question here from Cindy real quick. How do you clear out those apps? In this case, she's asking about Facebook.
Okay, well, Cindy, all you need to do is you go into your personal settings. I'm just going to go into it right here. So you just go into your personal settings, and then you go into, where is it? In the left-hand corner, if you scroll down in the left-hand corner, there's a place called apps. It's very clear. And you click on that, and it will pull up all the apps that you've ever downloaded. And then you go onto them and you can there's a little edit button next to each one. So you can click the little edit button and it will tell you exactly what is attached to each of those accounts, i.e. what sort of information you have allowed that app to actually enable on their system. And if you don't want it there, you can just delete it.
And that's what
I recommend. Oh, there you go. Great. Yeah.
So it's
very easy to do, very, very easy to do, Cindy. And I recommend everybody who's watching to actually go in and have a really good, solid clean out. You'll be surprised what's in there, because if you've not looked in there before, it's everything that you've been attached to since the day you got on Facebook.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you have to do it on your desktop.
Yeah.
Let's be really clear. You have to do that on your desktop because desktop drives mobile, not the other way around.
You could, so if you're on, for instance, an iOS device, I know you can swipe, like you can go to facebook.com, you can swipe up and you can, there should be an option that'll say request desktop site. You could try this. It may work, it may not, but you can actually go on there and try going to the link we just posted here, and it may give you the screen that you need to get to. You just have to do a little pinching and zooming, but desktop is where it's at. You have to start there.
Yeah. Much easier to do it on a desktop. Yes.
So let's bring Mike on real quick here. Mike, thank you so much for being very patient here with us. I know you had a podcast you were on earlier. You wrote this article. When I went to sleep, it had 300 something shares. It's now up to 788. Fantastic job on this article. Phil notified me about this, but thank you so much for taking a moment to join us tonight. How you doing, Mike?
Hey, thanks for having me. You hear me okay?
Absolutely. Sounds great.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
you
Mike
covered it. You don't need me.
So what do you think, Mike? I mean, you wrote the article, man. I really enjoyed your article.
Thank you.
Had to share it. I shared it, a couple places because I do think it's important. So, what are your thoughts on the business side, right? Let's not talk politics, man. Let's talk business. How do you think this impacts our small business owners?
And you're right. It was really hard not to be political in that post. But the whole point of me writing it was from a business perspective, from a social network and social media and Facebook perspective, because that's where I'm coming from. And there's actually two issues going on here. And you've kind of touched on both of them already. The first is this should be yet another wake-up call to the 2 billion Facebook users that you need to be mindful of your privacy settings and you need to be mindful of what you're sharing because it's a social network, and one way or another that information is out there, whether you think it's private or not. You're pushing it to a third-party platform, and apps have access to it, friends and family have access to it, and so on. So you need to be careful of that and be really thinking, okay, do I really need to share this? Do I need to like all these other Facebook pages and demonstrate that I have all these real interests? Does anybody else care? Because the reality is, you've mentioned Twitter, Google, LinkedIn, Instagram, they're all monitoring what we do. Mm-hmm. And they're all looking for ways to monetize that data through advertising and the placements. And that's just the world that we live in today. And some of it actually is really cool. It's convenient to be able to use a Facebook login to get into an app or a website or something like that. And it's actually sometimes nice to be targeted with products and services that we actually are genuinely interested in. Sometimes it's annoying to see the same thing over and over again, following us from site to site. But if someone's doing their job really well as a good marketer, which obviously most of us strive to do, we're serving ads and services that those people are interested in because it works. We've seen it. We've all probably used remarketing and retargeting ads on this call. They work really, really well, and there's good reason for that. But yeah, this should be yet another wake-up call. And the funny thing is, I mean, Mari Smith, love her to death. She reshared a post of hers this morning. I think it was from 2009. So 9 years ago, she was telling people, stop using the quizzes, stop doing all that kind of stuff. And we've been sending these same warnings for years. People still do it. So what are you going to do? We just keep reminding them and hopefully they learn. But that's just the first issue, right? That's to keep you protected from the legitimate uses of these platforms by businesses and advertisers. The second problem with the whole Cambridge Analytica fiasco is the illegal use of that data, right? It was a regular app developer who was a professor at Cambridge, also happened to be an associate professor at St. Petersburg, who also happened to get grants from the Russian government. I don't know about that. And so he built that, a quiz. Actually, he built several different quizzes, but he built one in particular, and that's the one that was in question here. Had, tens of thousands of people using it. And when they gave their permission to use the quiz, they also gave access to their friends' data. And he's the one that downloaded all that data and then sold it, allegedly, illegally, to Cambridge Analytica. So none of that is what's supposed to happen with data. So that's the other issue that's going on right now is, and this speaks to your point, Phil, is that a big deal right now? Should we really be all up in arms about it? And if this is the only thing that has ever happened illegally with Facebook data and the only time it ever happens illegally, no, it's not a big deal. Whatever. So they got a bunch of our data and they may have used it in a campaign. We'll never know. Okay, we can move on with our lives. That's a lot of ifs, right? We've had Facebook former employees, former security employees come out and say, we've been telling them for years that this is a problem and they need to button this up, and they haven't. So we know developers had like unlimited access basically back in 2014, 2013 to user data. We know that Facebook supposedly tightened that up in 2015. We know that supposedly they're tightening it up yet more this year. Are there other companies that had access to that data that are selling it and reselling it? I don't know. That's why I said in the post, I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop, right? I'm waiting for The Guardian or some other journalist to finally release their research that they've been digging and working on for months and months and months, because it takes a long time to sort this out and to get people to talk and share the stories and then to verify it. Like the guy who is talking from Cambridge Analytica, he had to show The Guardian emails and faxes and receipts and all kinds of other paperwork to prove he wasn't just, coming up with a story. It's going to take a while, but I suspect that we're going to learn of other instances of this kind of thing that have happened or will happen again in the future. And that's when this is going to become a really, really big issue.
Do you think, though, that I'm going to pick on my mom, Mike. Do you think my mom cares?
Not right now. No.
No, but I mean, truly, though.
And Lisa, all like these same things. And we've seen from Phil and Christian's buying experience or voting experience that they voted a certain way. And since Lisa likes the same things that they do, she's likely to vote the same way in the future as well. That's really hard to do today with the rest, what we have at our normal fingertips, what a normal business would have, certainly what an individual had. My mom would have no idea what I just said, let alone how to do it. It took Robert Mercer's tens of millions of dollars of investment money to seed Cambridge Analytica and give them the tools and the time to be able to actually execute what I just said. But they're probably not alone. They're probably not the only one using this psychological operations, the psyops warfare, as they've called it. Because, they've been doing it for years around the globe. They have actually literally helped sway elections in other countries. They probably had a big role to play in Brexit. That's under investigation right now. And as we've seen, they probably had a big role in Trump's campaign. So this will probably happen again. And the more it happens, the more education will go out from the main media, because the mainstream media, they're having a hard time explaining this, right? They're having a hard time saying what I just said in a way that their regular viewership would understand, because frankly, they don't understand it themselves. So until that happens, no one's going to care. The people I talked to today, nobody cares, really, because they don't see the depth of, I don't know, maliciousness or whatever other kind of negative word you can put on it. You know, they don't understand just how bad this is and how deep it goes, how insidious it is. That's probably the word I'm looking for. It's insidious. What they've been able to accomplish, how they've been able to manipulate people. And keep in mind, it's not just understanding what you and I might purchase and then putting an ad in front of us. I mean, that's not that far off from what normal Facebook retargeting advertising is. It's understanding what buttons to push to get me fired up, and then put fake information in front of me to push those buttons. And if that's happening more and more often, and more organizations and news media are explaining this in ways hopefully better than I just did, more people understand it, and more people will get fired up about it.
Interesting. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, we'll see, man. I don't know. This is so like, I don't know, so heady for a lot of people that they just, I don't think they're going to get it, man. I don't think they're going to care. I think people are used to being manipulated. I think they don't trust marketing. Yeah. And if we put this out there as marketers, it's just going to be one more thing that people doubt. I don't think they're going to believe us, man. Yeah. And frankly, again, the terms of service, I don't think people read them anyway, man. No. You could say, I will steal your data if you click this button. Oh, it's pretty. Click, 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 click. Right? I mean, give me a freaking break. So, I wish we could put that genie back in the bottle, Mike, but I think people are so conditioned that they don't care.
And I mean,
it's interesting because if you recall a couple of years ago, Instagram's terms of service at one point said they own all the content that you put to their platform. They own your pictures, and they implied to the terms of service that they could use your pictures in advertising and marketing materials. And there was a big uproar about that, and they had to change their terms of service because this was people trying to leave Instagram. There was a whole fuss. This is probably, I want to say, like around winter of 2014. People were trying to figure out how to export all their pictures from Instagram. If it had been a thing at the time, it would have been hashtag delete Instagram. It's possible for people to get worked up about a terms of service. Will it happen with this? Probably not, but I don't know. Sorry, Lisa, you were going to say something.
No, I just think, and not just focusing on the terms of service. I just think it's the way people operate these days with regards to social media and the whole just press the share button without really thinking about people live in their own little worlds and their own little communities. And they might only have 100 friends, they might have 1,000 friends, or whatever the case is. They do on that platform what makes them feel good without thinking, as you said, behind what's happening behind the scenes. So I think it goes beyond even the privacy side of it. I think it's a whole concept of being more aware of what it is that you are looking at, is what you are putting your name to, and what it is you are sharing within your community. And so that kind of with the whole fake news stuff. I mean, how many times have we seen things get shared on Facebook that is completely irrelevant, wrong, fake, and it creates such a storm that can be turned global and a mess. There's been a lot of really bad instances. People just, hey, they need to make Google their best friend. It takes a minute to Google something to see if something is true or not, because people don't appreciate. I call it the ripple effect. People don't appreciate the ripple effect of one action that they do on Facebook between their closed network of friends and how it can actually affect, someone on the other side of the world. People don't conceptualize it. They don't think about it, but it's happening. And that's why the whole privacy side of things, the whole way people operate on Facebook needs to be more of an education process, and those of us that are in a position to educate need to be continuously doing it openly on our personal platforms as well as on our business platforms, because it's not just the privacy, it's everything. And this is a beast that is exploding faster than any of us can even conceptualize. And as you said, is the horse already out the gate? Are we ever going to be able to rein it back? And there was a keynote at Social Media Marketing World that basically took us through the past, the present, and the future. And I tell you, I don't think the future is looking good if people don't start taking responsibility for what they individually do in their own communities on a platform such as Facebook. Across all, whatever it is, as I said, whether it's privacy or whether it's just sharing that viral post that you saw that really riled you that you think is true, when in fact, if you had taken 1 minute to have a look at Google, you would see that it actually has been traveling around the interwebs for the last 8 years or something, and it's just a whole bunch of lies. But my thing is, I think all of us, and especially those of us in the in the field of us marketers, in the field of educating people, need to really step up and start placing more of an emphasis on educating our own communities in our social space and our personal platforms to try and, and it's a step-by-step process. I don't know if it will ever do any good. I don't know if it's too much of a bigger beast now, but I think we all individually need to hold some responsibility for what's being created.
Absolutely. Great point, by the way, Lisa. And I want to thank Mike, by the way. Thanks so much for, I know you had that podcast. Thanks for taking a moment to jump in here, talk about your article, Facebook privacy and whatnot. Big thing, but, the bottom line is, you need to be, as a user, you need to be aware of what your actions, what you're doing, what you're sharing. Like, you don't have to put the information out there. It's not a required field. So just be mindful about what you put out there and how it could be used. And, we'll probably see this. We'll probably have you back on, both of you back on, because we'll probably have more of this down the road. But so thank you so much for joining us, Mike.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, guys.
So I'm going to wrap up here. I got 2 quick tools for everybody. I mean, we got lots of topics here, for the week. But the first tool I want to talk about real quick, 2 quick tools. This one is called Pinpoint. The bottom line is it is an app for basically mocking up screenshots. And you can do this on your mobile device. I know, for example, if you're an iOS user, I know you have the ability to to do basic mockups on your iOS device. Like, you can take a screenshot, you can add some arrows, and you can add some colors. But what Pinpoint does is it lets you go a little bit further than that. You could go in and you can actually do some blurring and whatnot as well, which I think is a really handy feature. For example, if I want, for instance, like say Lisa wants to teach somebody something or show somebody something, she can launch Pinpoint or take a screenshot, launch Pinpoint, and do any of the quick edits. Like, you basically take your finger, and you can blur something out, and draw her arrows and whatnot, and send that to her customers. So it's a very, very, very easy tool for people to be able to use. By the way, I misspelled that, but it's Pinpoint, Pinpoint. There's a link there in the chat.
Pinpoint is when we go out drinking beer, Christian. So This is Pinpoint for editing screenshots. Let's just be clear about that. So, but I think good app for us. Good app for folks. The blurring is probably the best feature that you can't get.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and it's a free app. Free or freemium app, actually. It's free, but then you have to pay for additional colors if you want some additional colors. But the blurring feature, I think, is key. Again, it's about what information you share in the public eye. If it's somebody's email address or somebody's physical address or their account, before you share it, think about it, blur it out, and send it. Very simple.
Don't dox them. Blur it out.
And tool number 2 is, and I think this actually is a good one. This is called True Social Metrics. And this is a really, really, really cool one. So this one is a tool for being able to actually take your social media channels and look at, the engagement that you're getting, look at the different channels and see which one is driving the most traffic, which one is actually worth your time. You can also compare yourself to different industries. This is a paid tool. It starts at about like $30 a month, I think.
Yep.
But this tool, I'm very, very, very interested in it, because I think one of the biggest questions everybody has as a business owner is, how do I go about using, like which social media channel do I need to be on? Well, what approach people take. They get on every single channel and they post the same message. And, that's not the right way to do things. You need to have a separate strategy for every channel that you're on, and you need to communicate in different ways. And this tool will actually help you uncover that to see, I'm getting more interest on Instagram versus, Twitter versus Facebook, or, hey, Facebook's where I'm getting the most engagement. That's where I should be posting and spending the most time on. So have any of you used either of this tool in particular?
No, I haven't. I've not heard of it before. But I will definitely be looking into it.
Yeah, I haven't used it either, Christian, but I think not only is it good for your own, but the other thing is if you're planning to do any influencer campaigns, you can use it for this as well. So you can do some real research to find real influencers instead of those scumbags that have 100 fake accounts that just retweet all the crap. Now, keep in mind, tomorrow, Twitter's, in fact, tomorrow.
Today in Australia. It's already tomorrow here.
So how is the future?
So it's Friday for Lisa, Friday for me, and Thursday for Phil.
Yeah. So yesterday for you guys will be tomorrow. No. So on the 23rd, though, Twitter changes their terms of service. So the spammers that hook up an RSS feed and crap stuff out are gone. So yay for that.
Very, very, very cool. So with that, I want to say thank you so much for everybody who stuck around. I know we went quite a bit over the normal show, but I want to thank everybody who stuck around. I want to thank Mike for popping in here to talk about Facebook privacy. Lisa, I want to thank you for being on and sharing all of your information. So much great information. Jody and Fiona and Fernando and Danica and Kelly and obviously
Ryan
Phil
Fanzo even popped in tonight.
Yes, he did. Yes.
What's up, Fanzo? You're good. If you listen to this replay, buddy, I'm not a millennial, but I still know what a hashtag is.
But it's about education, about educating yourself and staying up to date. By the way, Lisa, so what's the best way for people to get in touch with you if they want to, reach out to you, talk to you more and whatnot?
The best place
the
actually
easiest way, find me on LinkedIn or on your favorite social network. If you can spell Gerbyshak, it's GERBYSHAK. Just find me. Wherever you're happy, find me because I'll be playing there. I'm not the best Snapchatter, but I'll be happy to talk to you.
And I'm pretty much the same. Actually, I spend a lot of time on Facebook. I'm on Instagram.
Yeah, what about you,
LinkedIn.
Christian? Where are we going to find you, man?
I like to spend my time across all the different platforms. So,
cool.
Again, wherever the person's at, I try to, make the time to go there. So it's all about staying connected.
Yeah. And next week, big guest, Nicole Varant from the Land of Cheese. My friend Nicole, she is so smart. We can't wait to have her on.
So thanks a lot for joining us tonight. We're going to have a blog post recap that will go out on Friday for Phil, for Friday for everybody back in the States. And Lisa, thanks so much for joining us. But we will see you all next week at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for Social Chatter.
See ya.
Thanks a lot, everyone. Bye.
Bye.